Welcome to Space
Erased,
the NASA Fraudcast. I'm your host, Chris.
and I'm Matt.
And welcome to episode number 2, the International Space Station Hoax, Part 2. How you doing tonight, Matt?
Pretty good, Chris. That's a lot of twos.
That is. This is the episode of 2s. You know, Masons are all about 3s, so I guess tonight we're going to be... Oh, did I just sneak us into tonight's topic?
I think you did, Chris. The potential Masonic connection between the ISS, NASA, and the Masons is something that Chris brought up at the very tail end of the last episode.
A little teaser, yeah.
Tonight, I'm really hoping you'll get into that, Chris. I would really like to kind of get a little bit of an education as far as, you know, what the history is, why people are thinking that way. So yeah, let's turn it over to you. What do you got?
Well, the history is actually pretty interesting here. It dates all the way back to World War II, in fact. I'd like to study this whole thing with you tonight, but I've been brushing up over it the last couple of nights. We shot the last episode a few nights ago, so for you guys it happens like right now, but for us it's been a couple of days, so we've been studying and preparing. It actually goes back to World War II. A young rocket scientist named Wernher Von Braun actually had like a weekend rocketry club or group or something that he was a part of, and Adolf Hitler plucked him out to join him in the Third Reich to help him build the V2 rockets, which bombed the hell out of London and Europe, basically. Pretty crazy. So that is
pretty crazy.
Yeah, they took a technology that was, I guess recreational and turned it into a weapon, of course. Every war always does that. And the Nazis are no different. So how did we get Wernher Von Braun? Obviously, he was a part of NASA. So he actually ended up coming here, as far as my research is concerned. He ended up making it over here during something called Operation Paperclip. And that's where the United States government bought up a bunch of Nazi scientists and war criminals and gave them a job.
To try and deploy them into maybe an alternate space program. But more importantly, they took them for the military application.
Yeah, absolutely.
They wanted the best minds for their missiles and not the Germans. So somewhere in there, how did the Masons get tied in?
Well, the Masons come in. For all I know, Wernher Von Braun. I don't know. I'll call him Von Braun because I don't know if it's Werner or Werner. But anyways, he came in to the NASA thing at the beginning of NASA, and we know that the head of NASA, which I'm going to have you find his name in a few moments here.
Okay.
He was the leader of. Yeah, if you type in like NASA CEO or NASA founder Mason, it'll come up with him. He's got the apron on and all that stuff. But Von Braun himself may or may not be a Mason, but the rest of the guys surrounding him were. And even some other folks like another well-renowned figure named Walt Disney. It's a 33-degree Mason. That's actually a topic for a whole nother episode. We're going to do a moon landing hoax episode, and that one's going to be really interesting. That's going to have to do with some pretty crazy stuff. I just heard, what's his name? The Bill Cooper.
Bill Cooper, yeah, William Cooper.
He just dropped it down in a video I was just watching recently.
Yeah, he just dropped it down in a video 20 years ago.
Yeah, no, I mean like in a video I just watched.
Yeah.
For me, it just happened or whatever. But obviously, yeah, he recorded it a long time ago. But man, was it interesting. He gets into like how Disney, had like guarded secret big production studios and big hangars and stuff like that where they had big full-scale things of the moon. We can't get into that tonight. That's going to be a teaser for another episode. I think that'll be the next episode, actually. It's the moon landing hoax. What self-respecting, NASA-bashing podcast doesn't cover the moon
I wouldn't
landing?
go over that. That's a great point, Chris. And I think we should, what would you like to do there? Do you want to do like a huge multi-part series on it, trying to tackle it in one long extended episode?
I think so, and I don't know, maybe we'll get through the International Space Station tonight. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, all of these are pretty massive topics, and we're just kind of scratching the surface with 30-minute programs here, but I think it's important for people to hear. I think it's important for you to hear. Even our commenters on the videos are on my side, like, come on, Matt, open up your eyes to some of the stuff here, and I love
good.
It says that they're on Team Chris. I like that.
That's good. Yeah, and if you have a side, definitely feel free to express your opinion in the comments. Definitely let us know. let us know which camp you think you fall under. So, currently, right now, I'm trying to approach this as open-mindedly as possible. There's a lot of extremely smart people on both sides of this argument. So,
very true.
We are just two hosts in the middle of this, trying to make sense of it for the common man. So, as far as I'm concerned, I have to believe what I've been taught since being a child, right? Where the Earth is round, and we went to the moon in 1969, and all these wonderful things happened, and this, that, and the other thing. But the more exposure I have to this, and that's mostly in part to you, Chris, the more exposure I have to this, the more I feel like something is a little fishy, but I'm not willing to throw in the towel as far as saying that the moon landing was a complete hoax. There's a lot of different things to cover on that one. We're not even going to tackle that one in this particular episode. But that is a great.
I got a lot of questions for you on that, but we'll save that for the moon episode.
I'm extremely excited about it too. But let's get back down to low Earth orbit, or maybe not that at all. But what are we going to start with, Chris, as far as the material to cover tonight?
Actually, we can't play the audio because we're going to have to check into it. It might be a copyright infringement, but we're going to play you some of the video. Actually, Matt brought this to my attention. Some astronauts from the International Space Station actually recorded a little, greeting or something from the International Space Station. I haven't even seen it myself yet, but we wanted to talk about it tonight.
I could bring that up. Also, I couldn't find. Were you looking for the Mason or the founder of the Masons, or were you looking for the founder of NASA?
Founder of NASA.
Founder of NASA was Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Nah, it's not the right guy. We're looking for somebody else. He's
okay.
Maybe he was the head of the Apollo program or something like that.
Something like that.
I got a picture of him shaking hands with Ronald Reagan. So.
Okay. And if we figure out the specific title, I'll find it and put it up on the show here. However, I'm going to see if I can find that ISS footage here from New Year's.
Okay, well, he's doing that. We're gonna catch up people to speed here. Absolutely. With the last episode. Last episode, we tackled stuff like women's hair in space and zero G. Talked about how there's no airlocks on the International Space Station, which actually there are a few.
And that was a mistake I made in the last episode. I said there are no airlocks on the ISS. Chris has.
Well, I said that during the broadcast. That there's a few. Because I even wanted to say there's no airlocks, and that's proof that this is all BS. However, I mean, at least from what I can see in the video, I think it's the airlock is the door to the Soyuz when they're flying through the inside. I just saw one in the last video I looked at. Okay. And in our last episode, I put a lot of footage of the ISS on the inside so folks can take a look at it. And hopefully you're watching these in order here. It'll make more sense.
Absolutely. I've actually learned a great deal from that as well, so I appreciate you posting those videos.
But so we talked about the different camera angles and how that might be used to create fraudulent footage. Composite shots of guys in front of green screens, on hangers, on wires. I just finally showed Matt some pictures of Chris Hadfield and some videos like that, and it actually kind of tickled his fancy there a little bit. I think I might make a believer out of you yet. That video you saw where he's got the wires coming out of the back of his jacket or out of his back of his shirt.
Can we start there actually? Only because I have a problem, not necessarily with believing everything 100% or not, or just immediately jumping to everything's fake and there's a problem with all this stuff. So I'm in this gray area right now where I feel like, we've heard so much. I mean, during my lifetime, at least, they built the ISS. They've done all these incredible things with it.
In 98, they started building the ISS.
Yeah, so I mean,
tossing facts in.
That's perfect, and I appreciate that. And since then, I mean, it's kind of given everybody, especially the American public, the whimsicality of space and what we can do in the final frontier in the future and new technologies and things like that. So I'm not ready to throw away the entire thing just yet. Now. Chris had just brought up the Chris Hadfield wire scenario, and I had the opportunity to take a look at that video. The main thing that I saw, they're basically saying and I'll see if I can pull up the video as well, but they're basically saying that Chris Hadfield in a let's see here. It was some sort of video from the ISS. I'm not sure if you know what specific mission or anything like that it's from, but I'm
video bad with ISS missions. I like the Apollo missions and space shuttle missions, but I I don't know what any of the mission patches say for ISS.
Yeah,
I'm sure they all have names, but I just don't know.
So basically what they're saying is that Chris Hadfield is being suspended on wires, and that's what's giving the illusion of this anti-gravity type, or zero gravity rather, experience that he's going through. So, did they fake it? I don't know. Did they use wires just to support the guy so he wasn't just flying around the space station while they're trying to put him on video? Was it just like a comfort harness to keep the subject in one spot while they were taping? I don't know that either.
A comfort harness?
Well, basically, when you're in a zero-G environment, you're constantly having to counter whatever action you just did. So if you push on something, you're going to have an equal and opposite reaction, so you're going towards the opposite things. You're constantly auto-correcting, I have to imagine. I've never been in a zero-G environment, but...
we're burning time here. Speaking of constant correction, I'm going to talk about one more problem with the International Space Station here. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think we talked about wires in the last episode, and we're already hitting the 11-minute mark here, so I want to keep moving. Or actually, I don't know, we're a little bit sooner than that. But anyways, a gentleman brought up a good point. You can't have anything in low gravity around the Earth without making small course corrections. And he said, where are the little rocket boosters on the side of the ISS? I'm sure there are some, or there should be some, because they should be constantly making course corrections to stay in their orbit. Now, the ISS never said that they keep one specific orbit. They actually change gradually orbits over time. But he said it would require an immense amount of fuel, and who's shuttling all that fuel up? It just doesn't make sense to fuel these boosters that are constantly making course corrections. Otherwise, this thing would fall out of the sky or float off into outer space. So that's actually a new point here. Actually, some due diligence here. Just some cleanup. On the last episode, I did make a few mistakes, and we do own up to our mistakes here on Space Erased.
We're going to try to. If you see a mistake that we didn't bring up, definitely feel free to
politely comment.
Politely, absolutely. Speak your mind. That's fine, but just let us know so that way we can kind of keep this show on the right track as far as the information we're presenting.
Yeah, because again, we have to constantly reaffirm this, but we're learning together. Matt and I don't have all the answers. We're just two guys that are going to front this movement of being the public face of this thing, and how do we band people together, create a community, and get to the bottom of this. Obviously we're being lied to, and if NASA lied about one thing, they got to be lying about a bunch of stuff. So anyways, the due diligence here to fix my mistakes from last week. We said there are countries obviously involved in the International Space Station, and which countries? I said United States, Russia, China, India, all this stuff. It's actually the main countries are the US, Russia, and Japan. And then, in addition, you have Canada. Well, you have Canadian representatives. I don't necessarily know if the country Canada forked over any cash for it. And then the ESA, I accidentally called it the ENSA last week, but it's actually the European Space Agency, ESA, and that includes Belgium, Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. So those are the countries actually involved with the production and the maintenance and the work on board the International Space Station.
Okay, that's actually good to know. That's a lot more specific than what I walked in here with, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, I want to teach you a few things, and I want you to teach me a few things. I obviously had the same education and brainwashing crap that taught me that the world was circular and all that stuff. That you got, but maybe there's some things that you can teach me along the way that may change my mind. Because if the Earth isn't flat, I shouldn't be up here talking to people and telling them it is. So I'm just saying that I've seen, really good evidence that's convincing me that the International Space Station is a hoax, and that's something fraudulent's going on.
I think the best thing you and I can do, and we're going to just do this over the course of the episodes in the future, is try and find the smoking gun and label it as the smoking gun for is the Earth round, or B, is the Earth flat, and then also for things like the space station, is it, does it exist, does it not exist, and those kind of questions.
I think it all comes down to the truth, and then the subcategory would be the keepers of the truth. And that's our Mason connection. So now let's get into Masonry. There's a really good video that Black Child Productions put together. That's called, you might have to check out the title. It's, if you type in Mason, or ISS Freemasons. It's like one of the first videos to pop up on YouTube, and it's again Black Child production. That dude's videos are awesome, by the way. He covers a lot of stuff.
The title of the video is Freemasons in Space, NASA's Illuminati Freemason Ritual Change of Command, and that's actually a video that I've watched as well.
Why don't you do a little screen cap of that guy there, because that shows a lot of the handshakes and the hand gestures. See oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, this just to kind of preface the video, this is actually a great example of a guy that went in there and he found every example, or at least enough examples to show you that there's something definitely going on here.
Dude, if you haven't seen his other videos, go check them out. We're going to try to push as many sweet YouTube channels as we can. We want everybody to get on the same page. We are, if we point out a channel that's deliberately hustling fraudulent stuff, let us know, guys, because we don't, we're not 100% on everything, but we're just going to bring you the best of what we find. But I really like this guy's stuff, and he's done a lot of videos on the entertainment industry, actually, that I find to be super fascinating. That kind of deviates from what we do here on the show. As far as Masons go, he's going to show you a couple of images of these guys doing handshakes when they switch off their commands or whatever, like one new commander will come on and they'll shake hands, and they do that, here, shake my hand here real quick. They'll do this thing. It's almost like the Vulcan thing, and they kind of like grab the wrist like that, and it's a shake like that, and then a lot of times they'll cut and show you like a picture of Obama doing that when he goes and shakes hands with people. So a lot of these like hyper elitists use that handshake. They also use the 666. They use the hand over hand we were talking about at the end of the last episode. This is somebody's time is up. That means, and I don't know, whose, but I think when you see somebody with their hands like this, it represents that somebody else's time is up.
And, basically in the shot that we're looking at right now, you can see my mouse. I'm just going to circle. There's a female astronaut and a male astronaut in particular that have their hands in that specific arrangement. There's also two other gentlemen that have their arms crossed, and they're both on opposite sides, very symmetrical. I don't know if that means anything, but it's also something else going on in the video.
Nice. So go ahead and keep documenting that there if you would. Just makes for more interesting viewing. But the core of all this stuff is
just to cut it off there too. This is also the part where Chris was talking about, where you can see Obama doing that same hand gesture.
Oh, sweet! They got a picture of it.
Changing command. So this is. Let me actually go back just a hair here, and I'll pause that.
But the comment I need to make here is that these guys are all powerful, right? They have all the information, and they love to mock people. Really, that's like all you got left when you have all the power and all the money and all the everything. You're just gonna start putting it in people's faces. They subliminally hide so much of this garbage in all that NASA footage. Anytime you see the ISS, there's little hints of it everywhere, and I'm sure there's so much stuff that we don't even know. I mean, I'm sure we're not even aware of 90% of it. But here's a list of some Masons these are confirmed Masons from the Apollo and the most of these dudes are from back in the day. I only have those guys as far as like confirmed ring on the finger, got pictures of them. And in fact, if you could do a Google image search for NASA Masons, you'll find a bunch of cool stuff. So Buzz Aldrin is a Mason. You can see the ring on his finger in one of the photographs he took for the Apollo program. Neil Armstrong, and interestingly enough, Neil Armstrong's father was actually a big deal 33rd degree Mason. I found that out in another video the other night. Pretty interesting, dude. So that would have something to do with why Neil's probably affiliated with it in the first place. The third astronaut on what is his name? I don't know. The third astronaut that went that didn't land on the moon, but he was
Grissom.
Was it Grissom?
Or I think so. I can't remember. Let me check.
I think you're right.
That's the first one.
He
that
was
jumped
either
in
on
my
Apollo
head,
1 or Apollo 13. I'm not sure. Or Apollo. Yeah, I think 13. Okay. And then, of course, I was calling him the founder of NASA. We're going to take a screenshot of him once we find his picture, and we'll just put it in the video. Here's some, magic. Now we'll put it in right now. And then, Walt Disney, he's not, that sounds like a funny name to affiliate with NASA astronauts, but there's pretty good evidence that he helped fake the moon landing. So, and with his studios and with his gear and all that stuff, apparently, he was a big role in faking the moon landing. And you can see him shaking hands with Von Braun and the like. So he's definitely in there. And then the possible Masons are the people that are currently on the International Space Station. I think Chris Hadfield, there's a strong possibility of him being a Freemason. those women that were, with the goofy hair and all that stuff. Anybody who's, deliberately perpetuating a fraud almost has to be a Freemason. And why do they use Freemasons in this situation? It's because you got to have people that can keep a secret, and nobody keeps secrets better than secret society people.
Absolutely.
So that's that. Okay, so here's some more information that we kind of glanced over last time. We mentioned that a lot of the shots take place underwater. And I would say more specifically, all of the outdoor spacewalk shots that you see are going to be underwater. And our proof for that is going to be, actually CNN did a story. If you could type in CNN gallon of water or whatever, or water in the astronaut's helmet story.
Okay, let me, before we jump there,
nice.
This is just the conclusion to Chris's deal. Michael Collins, apparently,
Michael Collins,
the third
right.
member of the mission was Michael Collins.
And I was wrong. I was talking about Apollo 13. Apollo 11 obviously
Apollo
landed
11.
I'm an idiot. I've been studying this stuff all week, for a long time now, not just all week, but specifically this week. And I totally forgot the name of the most important landing or mission there. But anyways, so CNN did a story a while ago. It's within the last couple of years where they talked about an astronaut who had his helmet fill up with water. Interesting, huh? Space, last time I checked, didn't have any water in it, and an astronaut carries for their coolant system and then personal hydration maybe a couple quarts of water. Certainly not enough to fill his helmet with like a gallon of water, which would be almost like total proof that these dudes are totally swimming in a pool and his helmet leaked. The other thing is that the NASA engineers created a snorkel for the astronauts to wear under their helmet. That seems kind of dumb. Why would you need a snorkel if you're in outer space? So anyways, they did that and fixed their problem up there, and they were able to complete the mission. The other thing I wanted you to pull up is some videos of Bubbles, Jaronism. I want to say it was him. I keep hustling that dude's name, but he really is good. Check out his channel. If you're listening to us, dude, reach out to us, because I want to mesh minds and see if we can get something out together or something like that. This dude is doing a lot of good work, and he's taking a lot of heat for it. But he's who introduced a lot of this stuff to me and a lot of other people, and I applaud him for the work he's done.
So he's either the guy to thank or the guy to hate as far as perpetuating this new ideology.
Thanks, that information from the non-believer over here. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, to be honest, and the gentleman that produces Jaronism, please take no offense, or take offense, but as far as I'm concerned, that sounds like absolute just straight garbage, and I mean that in the nicest way. But it's one of those things where it's like, you see it on YouTube and you just see the clip and it's like, the Earth's flat, man. Something's happening here. And you look at it and it's like, yeah, back in like 1947, there's this one picture taken, and it's like, yeah, totally, the Earth's flat. And I don't know. I just
dude, this guy has tons and tons and tons of evidence
and
that supports his claims, and he does a really good job of putting all that together. And to my knowledge, he's a one-man machine. He's got like 23,000 subscribers. The guy, he's a powerhouse. He's worth taking a look at for sure.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm excited to have my perception changed on that one, because the Earth is absolutely a sphere, and I'm not going to change my mind on that without some serious evidence.
Nice. You got some, Matt's looking at some video of Bubbles coming up from...
Yeah, this looks like some fairly old footage. I'm going to see if I can find some newer stuff while Chris brings us into the next point here.
Yeah, I'd say like ISS Bubbles or something like that, and you at home can take a look as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All I'm doing is...
open up a new tab.
Yeah, going to YouTube and typing in NASA Bubbles, so you can do NASA ISS Bubbles or something like that.
All right, so... another video I saw recently was pretty interesting. It was another video that came out of searching for like NASA Mason international or ISS Freemasons. If you type that in, you'll see this video there as well, where the guy talks about kind of the theory I had in the last episode, where they're using the stabilization bars on the floor and on the ceiling to hold themselves while the plane doesn't actually move straight up and down perfectly. It kind of wavers side to side and all that stuff. It's got atmosphere and everything else to travel through, so it's not perfectly parabolic. So, they shift side to side, and to inhibit that motion, the guy will hold on to stabilization bars and stuff like that to keep himself appearing like he's floating weightless and all that. So that's one extra point there we wanted to add. The interior shots of the ISS, of course, are the, I think, it's all done on the vomit comet. After last episode, I went and did more research, and it just looks like the more and more I look at it, it's got to be a vomit comet. And then the rest of it has got to be like an underwater set, which they do. They've got a full mock-up of the ISS and a giant swimming pool in some facility. I want to say it's like the Houston Space Center or whatever.
Probably.
Yeah, I saw another video that was kind of cool where, this astronaut was like flying through the ISS and his hand gets grayed out. And then you stop and freeze frame on his gray hand and you're like, man, this looks like CGI. So they're obviously like augmenting real footage and fake footage. It's all composites, like I was saying last week. You're not seeing 100% truth and you're not seeing 100% lie, and that's what makes it so believable. It's like that expression, the best lie is hidden between two truths kind of thing,
I guess, yeah. Because I don't know. I'm looking at a lot of this NASA footage and it looks so credible. And I mean, it looks exactly how your mind would picture a scene like that.
Dude, I found another video. I'm sorry, like we won't be able to put all this stuff in there, but I'll try to get as much in as possible. But there was this CNN. It was like, oh, we're gonna cut to a live spacewalk in space, and then they cut, and they're totally cutting to like a couple of guys that are like set designers on a prop set, and you can see the fake. I think it was the Mir space station that they were like supposed to be filming. Excuse me. And then there you can see a big globe on the right side of the shot. And it's obviously like that was the CG globe and that was the big ass model. Just like in Star Wars, the models that they used for the big ships and stuff are actually like, big models. They're like, some of them are like 10 feet long. They're big models. So, when they do
the Titanic too, they use some huge models.
Yeah, when they do that big pan across the side and you see all like the little doodads and antennas and shit and guns and stuff coming out of the side of like, the destroyers or shit. My Star Wars lingo sucks. It's been a long time.
Your phasers and your interceptors.
Yeah, whatever. Your
so many
your telecoms and
Star Wars
buttons
guys hating on you.
Yeah, that's gonna give us some heat for sure. But anyways, yeah, it's big models, and the model that I saw in that video that CNN accidentally cut to was definitely that size, and that globe totally looks like a green screen, blue screen globe that you would use, to superimpose another or key in, I guess is the term, another image into it. Yeah, fake mission controls. Let's get into it. Pretty much all the Mars mission stuff, and then the Chinese moon mission stuff. Just take a look at their mission controls, man. All the people, it's like almost like somebody's standing up like a director in a choir or something like that. Like, all right, and laugh and cheer, guys. It's like 3, 2, and then you look around and there's like 3-4 guys that must have missed the memo or something like that. They're just kind of like looking around like, oh, whatever. It's like obviously they didn't pay that actor enough. I think now that I'm looking at this, somebody did a video that was pretty interesting, but I think they're all paid actors in there. Like they all got headsets and they're sitting in front of computers and shit, but you can't see what they're looking at. May be real, may not be real. I don't know. I watched that Felix Baumgartner Red Bull Stratosphere jump again, and their mission control looked like that looked like a real mission. Like that's how people should really respond. Like a big wash of relief came over them. It was like mission successful or hard work paid off kind of look. Not like, like these people just like paid
We're going
actors.
to Disneyland. No,
so, not like Sandy Hook crisis actors, which I think all are, everybody in the fake mission control room. So,
but as far as that's concerned, I can totally. I mean, there's so many struggling actors out there. I guarantee you, there's enough of them that would take a job like that.
Oh yeah, and sign no non-disclosure releases and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Chris, we are coming to the end of the episode here. So, final statements as far as what you'd like to get out about the ISS.
Yeah, we got about another 5 minutes here. The final word on the ISS, at least, okay. I think we're being fed a hoax. We need to get to the bottom of why they're feeding us a hoax. We need to start asking questions like, if the Earth isn't round and it actually is flat, why in the hell are they lying to us about this? And like, what is such a big deal about letting people know the truth? That's what I'm trying to get at here personally. Like in summation, the video shots are bogus. Take a look, really do your own research and take a look into these videos. Let us know what you find out in the comments. I love some of the videos that we've already seen. A dude actually just gave us a video with using gyroscopes to prove the planet's flat, and I loved it, dude. It was really cool. Keep that stuff coming. as far as like dive into the Mason connection. When you start peeling away the layers of Masons and how they relate to the Apollo program, apparently if they did go to the moon, somebody was talking about, there's a video on how Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong had like a cloak and dagger kind of Masonic ritual where they had the Scottish Mason flag thing or whatever up instead of the U.S. flag, and they had their little belt things on and all that shit. So they kind of did like an ode to the Masons up there, kind of salute to those guys, and then they went back and did the fake, America thing.
Where is that?
It was in one of the videos I found, and now we're getting smart about this stuff. So if we find cool videos, we've started creating playlists on our channel, so please check that out. It's going to include guys like Black Child Production and Jeranism and I can't remember any other names, but we'll get better as time goes on.
We will have more names next episode.
And I've also created them for this guy over here, Matt. He needs to start seeing this stuff, and he needs to start...
Absolutely. If you guys have stuff, too, that you want me to see, you can send it to us at... what's the Gmail now? It's the Fraudcast, right?
Gmail is nasafraudcast@gmail.com.
Okay, nasafraudcast@gmail.com. That is the new address. You can send pretty much any questions, comments, any different, basically anything you'd like to send us.
Yeah, so since we put it up on the last episode, we got a ton of responses.
We got a great response on the first real episode here. Yeah. So we're very excited about that. Anything you guys can do to, any suggestions, improvements, anything like that, anything you'd like to see from us, definitely let us know there as well. Also, don't forget where you're finding it. We have the NASA Fraudcast YouTube channel where you can find all of our videos.
Yeah, it's called NASA Fraudcast channel. And then again on there, check out our playlist. We're going to be updating those constantly, and we're going to make cool subdivisions of like right now we've got NASA Freemason connection, flat Earth proof, NASA fake footage, a bunch of really, really cool stuff. Definitely worth checking out. I'm going to take a glance at my notes here and just make sure that we didn't miss any good stuff. Anything you want to add, Matt?
No, I mean, all I can say once again is that I'm seeing a couple of inconsistencies, but I still haven't seen that overwhelming thing that makes me say, yep, the ISS is fake. So any of those smoking guns, once again, send it to us in a comment, anything like that.
Dude, not even the wires that you saw in Chris Hadfield?
Once again, I mean, that could just be like, if you're in space, that could be something that holds you in position so that when you're on camera, you don't like float around all different directions. I don't know. I mean,
they would totally tell you that. Oh, yeah, we're using space wires right now. That's a big part of what we do up here.
I don't think they'd call them space wires. Do you guys have any more of those space wires? Yeah, we ran out on pod 4 there, so... but it could be a number of different things. So I'm just trying to play devil's advocate on it. Maybe this is why they did it, that kind of a thing. But neither of us really have hardcore proof in either direction that it is what it is or is not there.
Oh, you know what? I did miss one little point. They supposedly take 3 tons of water up to the ISS annually, and that also sounds like bullshit to me.
That's a lot of water.
Because, dude, look at how much rockets can carry, and then, subtract the weight of the actual, payload of, the space shuttle or whatever's on there. They can't really carry that much weight, so.
We actually have an extremely smart fan base, ironically enough, here, that's already offering help with our math questions here. So, here's the problem of tonight. Yeah, what kind of rocket fuel would it take, and how large would a rocket have to be in order to carry 3 tons worth of water? Water's not a light thing. It's extremely heavy, and it's a horrible resource to move around too. So
yeah,
if you guys have any insight on that, I'd love to hear it as well.
Yeah, I love our fans, man. You guys have already been awesome. You're giving us some really good vibes here. I feel like this show's actually taken off. It's doing really well for a brand new baby show. You guys are really intelligent people. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here in the first place. Which hats off to you guys. Again, any help you can give us with the math or the science behind this, everybody has their own unique puzzle piece, and together we all have the answer. So stay positive, keep the comments positive, and keep the spirit of discovery alive.
And let's see what we can come up with together here.
Absolutely. All right, final word, Matt.
Once again, just make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the program. You can find us on YouTube and through Gmail. So feel free to email us or hit us up on YouTube. This has been Space Erased, the NASA Fraudcast.
Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt.
Good night.
And we're out.
How about a handshake, bud?
Sounds good, buddy.